So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I'm hoping that if in fact that's a really weird skin.
I do not know whom I can trust here.
You may start with me, Alex Murphy.
How do you know my name?
Round one, fight!
He's got cloth. He's got actual pants on. Anyway, I'm hoping that if they reset the timeline completely, my idea for how they can reboot Mortal Kombat is like completely start over. And this is without whatever they plan on doing with the Great Kung Lao. Let's just say the next full-on Mortal Kombat game is a regular Mortal Kombat game, like classic Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1. A full-on reboot. I don't want time to be involved again. I think it's a problem. Okay, so what I'd like for them to do is, or I should say, time shouldn't be a huge part of the story going forward, because time is a cop-out. It's
You fight for this world.
yeah, it's a plot device. It's a cop-out. It's a way for them to continuously do whatever they want and then pull this cord and come back. So here I'm hoping whatever they do in the future is that they don't use time again. That they don't say Chronica's out there and you can just reset time, or God Liu Kang is said, oh, if he makes a mistake he'll just do it all over again. I don't want to see that. I don't think anybody wants to see that. I don't think anybody would mind if they rebooted Mortal Kombat again, but things could be more definitive and less hectic, less chaotic. Because things got so crazy in MK9, right? I love MK9's story, but I wish it stopped there. Like, not necessarily stop, but damn, you're getting jacked. If they restart it, I think one thing that NetherRealm wants to do, and a lot of narrative storytelling wants to do, I actually don't have time to wait for this to tell a story. What they want to do is give you an opportunity to be invested into the story and invested in particular characters, so that way if they do something drastic with them, like kill them, you get a strong emotional reaction. You get more invested. It gives you
How do you know my name?
talking points. You are sharing on social media. You're having a strong reaction. They don't want you to just play the game and it just be boring, because you can't be entertaining if it's boring, if nothing happens. Also, it's Mortal Kombat. Somebody's got to die. You can't. That's what's weird about the story mode, that they all avoid killing each other, except for when they kill each other. The problem with Mortal Kombat 9 is that they did that, but when they killed each other, everybody died. Half of the roster for Mortal Kombat 9 is death. Dude, you're gonna lose this fight. Yeah, half the roster for MK9 is dead. Sindel killed them, almost all, especially the good guys, and then Liu Kang and Kung Lao died separately from that. So the only ones that really made it out of it was Sonya, Raiden, and Johnny Cage. That's it. And technically, blind guy, whose name I can't think of right now. But that's it. They're the only ones that made it out. So, how do you restart Mortal Kombat and tell a story in Mortal Kombat without killing off important characters, legacy characters, characters that people really like, characters that people really want to play as, without being divisive, without completely abandoning or hurting part of your fan base. Alright, so back on track. NetherRealm definitely wants to have a character and characters die in their story mode, and it makes sense because this is Mortal Kombat, right? Someone's got to die, but it's just MK9 had half of the roster die, and it just doesn't make sense. That's why you get put in the position of having to make them Revenants, so you have an excuse to bring the characters back for the next game. But the Revenants is a very decisive thing for the characters, because even in MKX, right, Kitana's around. Sure, you got Kitana, you got Liu Kang, Kung Lao, all your favorite characters are here. But for someone that didn't play MK9 and you jump in MKX and it's like, why is Liu Kang got gray skin? What's going on with Kung Lao? Why, wait, what is a Revenant? Why is half the cast Revenant? And wait, what do you mean they're dead? They died in the last game? I mean, it's not just the fact that you have to recap them on what happened, but you also have to legitimately explain how they can be dead and then come back and justify it as a thing going forward. Like, it's kind of like before that, when Liu Kang was killed and he came back as a zombie Liu Kang. Like, you killed off the main, the chosen one, the savior, the champion of Mortal Kombat. You killed him off in the story, but people really like Liu Kang, and he is kind of the main character of this whole thing. You have to have them in the game. You can't. It's like having Street Fighter without Ryu. It's like having Tekken without Kazuya or Jin. It's like they have to be there. Like, you can't play these games without the main protagonists or one of the heroes or whatever in the game. It's just weird. Like, who in their right mind would play Street Fighter without Ryu? Like, with no Ryu. I don't think anyone would. Even if they don't play Ryu, even if Ryu sucks like he kind of does in Street Fighter V, he's there. And casuals know how to play Ryu, or they just like him. So you gotta have Liu Kang in the game, right? So yeah, they had him as a zombie, but whatever. So MK9, all these characters are dead. They wanted that for the emotional shock value to tell a great story, and it's awesome. And then even in MKX, all these characters are dying, and you killed Baraka, you killed who else was dead? Melina, and then here Scorpion dies in MK11. There's various story paths, but other characters die as well. Kotal Khan died in Aftermath, but he wasn't dead in the original story. But again, all that doesn't matter because of what happened in Aftermath. But anyway, how I would proceed with a new storyline, whatever they do with Kung Lao, the Great Kung Lao, whatever. But Liu Kang definitely wants to have a Mortal Kombat tournament still, because of that he got to meet Kitana. Because of the Mortal Kombat tournament, Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade met each other, and they had Cassie. If he were to say don't do Mortal Kombat anymore, then that stuff wouldn't happen, or he would have to find some way for them to meet organically, which would be kind of hard with Outworld and Earthrealm being separate. So he's still going to do Mortal Kombat tournaments. He's just going to make sure that stuff doesn't hit the fan like it did in this previous timeline. So with that being said, MK1 is just going to, like a rebooted MK1 would be just like a rebooted MK1. It would still have the same characters. The only difference is Raiden won't be the god. It will be Liu Kang. So it would still have Kano, Sonya, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Johnny Cage, and Raiden, and what am I missing? The original roster for Mortal Kombat. Shang Tsung would be there. The only thing is, it should have an expanded roster. The original roster was only 7 people, right? 6 or 7 people. It should be like kind of like MK9 was, where it's an expanded roster, all these characters that were in the background or that were involved in MK1's story, but just weren't played in MK1 properly because we didn't know they existed at the time. So Scarlet would still be there. You'd still have Jax, who was imprisoned in MK1. You'd have other characters like Reptile. He would still be there and be involved and be playable in this rebooted Mortal Kombat franchise. The only difference is, again, Raiden would still be there, but he wouldn't be a god. He would just be mortal. He would be regular Raiden, in my eyes. So he would still have like Thunder abilities. He just wouldn't be Thunder God. And then there would be a new story told. It couldn't be the same story because Liu Kang is the god. He can't be the one that would become the champion. It has to be someone from Earthrealm. So in this case, it could be Johnny Cage that wins the MK1 tournament. It could be Kung Lao that wins. It could be Sonya Blade. As long as it's someone from Earthrealm defeating Outworld and preventing the merger, and it not be Liu Kang, then it's fine. They just have to defeat Shang Tsung. But again, it's Mortal Kombat. Someone's got to die. At least one person in the story mode. But that one's easy for the first game, at least. So, just like normal MK1 lore, have Bihan die to Scorpion for the same reasons. Everything happens the same. He's the original Sub-Zero, and Scorpion kills him because of his family, right? He killed his family. So that could still be an emotional shock. It could still be something. Is it going to happen the same? Are we still going to get Noob Saibot? Yes. It's still going to happen down the line. But because that one's not the most shocking death, I propose that not only do we reboot MK1 with these additional characters from MK9, but you also reboot it with more characters that are, one, brand new to the franchise, that never been played before, that we didn't know exist. It's a different timeline, things happen differently, so there are new characters that are available. Like, say, if you play MK9, you can see right at the beginning, there is like a ninja female in a gray classic, a classic female outfit. She's in gray. And then there's another guy ninja also in gray that's not Smoke, but Smoke also would be there. But he's not Smoke, it's somebody else. Make them playable. Make those characters and give them a little bit of story and lore, so that way they can be played, to have unique gameplay elements and stuff like that. And then they can be the ones that end up being killed in story mode. So we're not terribly emotionally invested in them, but we do realize the stakes are high. People are going to die. This is a serious tournament, and kill off those new characters that are just there for that game. Also, you can bring in other characters that appeared later on in MK that weren't all that popular, but it'll be a way to throw back to the older games. Say like Suhao. Suhao's a good, like, he wasn't like some hugely popular character as far as I understand. In fact, you got MK11 Aaron Black. His intro has him throwing down the body bag and Suhao's head pops out, right? Because he kills Suhao. But Suhao hasn't been playable in any of these games, didn't show up in the story mode or whatever. Put him in the original Mortal Kombat as a playable character, and he shows up and he fights, I don't know, he fights Kano or something like that in the story mode, and he dies. So that way you can get opportunity to play as a older character that gets involved and they die. So you can have multiple characters die during the story mode, but preserve the legacy characters so that they aren't the ones that are dying and people aren't getting upset. And then as you go over time, then you can start knocking off more legacy characters, but not so much at one point just to get some huge emotional, thing. Because, you want people to be emotionally invested, but not like to the point where they hate you for killing off their favorite characters. And then, like, say, if that's the case, MK2 can happen, and it can happen still the same way that MK1, or the original MK2 happens, where maybe Sonya, I would say Sonya and Kano is still playable, but they're not involved in story mode because they've been captured. But you bring in Melina, you bring in Baraka, you bring in whoever else was introduced in MK2, Jax. Well, Jax was, in MK1. But still, you bring in, the MK2 roster. You can still bring in those stages, bring in the story, and again, bring in new characters for them to be killed off. You bring in characters that have not been featured in the last few games, but were in, like, the PS2 era. Just a couple, and then you can kill them off if they just weren't popular. So you can bring in I really don't know a whole lot of those characters, but like Draman, right, there you go. Like Draman would be one. People like Draman, but they don't love him, and not a lot of people even know who he is. So we can bring Draman into MK2 reboot and kill him off in the story mode. Get him involved, and then kill him off. And then bring in Kuai Liang, and then he stays around because he's going to be Sub-Zero in the future. You still have everything preserved for those legacy characters. And just keep going forward like that. Tell a new story, the same story, but tell it in a new way with new characters, I should say. And I think that would be cool. That way, we're not killing off Melina in the second game and not ever bringing her back because whatever reason you don't like doing that. You're not killing off Liu Kang and calling him a zombie just for reasons to bring him back. We're not resetting the timeline to constantly bring back characters just to satisfy the fan base, to make sure that they have who they want to play as. All of the legacy characters will still be there. All of the fan favorites will still be there. You can bring in Ferrator and bring them into MK2 or MK3 and just make them playable in that game. And a lot of people like Ferrator, but at the same time, if you're not going to give Ferrator any extended character development, you can kill them off in that game. Ferrator, I don't know what happened to them in MKX. Presumably they either retired or they got killed off, but it'd be cool to either, again, there are characters that people like, but they just don't get seen again, so give them the spotlight so we can see them again, or put them in a game and then officially kill them off. And then that something, I would like that. But that's just my thoughts. That's how I would proceed with the MK franchise. It would be avoiding time control and also honoring legacy, giving people what they want, and of course, I'm not talking about gameplay wise, just talking about story, and talking about what exactly the game has lacked, as far, or talking, not necessarily lacked, but more of the issues that are being addressed when they are continuously killing and resetting time, because they've done it 3 times now, going from the original timeline all the way up to Armageddon, then resetting with MK9 and going all the way up to MK11, then resetting again with Aftermath. So we've gone through 3 timelines, and now this will be the 4th one if we're starting from Fire God Liu Kang and the Great Kung Lao. So can we stop doing this? Can we just have, and that's actually another thing too. MK9 happens, timelines reset, and then from MK9 to the beginning of MKX is a 2-year gap, and then after that 2-year gap it jumps 20 years, or maybe it's 18 years, but there's a difference of 20 years between MK9 and MKX. 20 years, because we have the combat kids. The only problem with my idea is in fact that there wouldn't be any combat kids because we're starting all the way over, and you know, Sonya and Johnny hadn't met each other yet. We're starting all over. I'm going to, you know, do the games as is instead of jumping in time, so the combat kids won't exist in my version of the new timeline, right? Which stinks a little bit. I mean, I think people do want to see Takeda, they want to see Cassie, they want to see Jackie. Maybe not so much Kung Jin, but, you know, maybe. So in my new timeline, they wouldn't exist, so it sucks. Don't have the Scorpion stuff. And I don't care. Yeah, so I don't know. I like the idea overall. Obviously, it's my idea, but I wonder how you guys think. Yeah, I think it would be fun to just start over that way. Anyway, so what I want to do is, I'm sorry for talking about that for so long, but I had that idea this morning and I thought I can go over it.